Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy, and today is a day for a weapon featurette, and this time it sees me giving the Carcano M91 Carbine a second chance. I'm not sure if it's Carcano or Carcano, or I don't know, we're gonna go with Carcano, okay? Because I've had multiple people say how much they like this weapon on several scout focused videos I've produced recently. So I figured I'd best take another look at this thing to see if my opinion of it could be altered, because when I made a video on it 7 months ago, the thumbnail literally had "I hate it" whacked right down it. So let's see if I've improved as a player since then and potentially enjoy it more so now. And rather than me just talking about my experiences, I may as well make this potentially useful for you guys and compare the Carcano with other relevant scout options to help you to decide if you think it's worth your time or not. So basically, we'll be comparing the Carcano Carbine with the other scout rifles that don't have a sweet spot, except for the M1903 Experimental for obvious reasons, and we also won't be considering rifles with a scope for equally obvious reasons. This leaves us with our comparison weapons being the Gewehr M95 Infantry, the Gewehr M95 Carbine, and the Russian 1895 Trench. All stats included in this video have been sourced from Synthetic.com, as it's far more reliable than BF1 itself, and all opinions are purely my own. Got all of that? Good. Let's get into this then. So damage. Well, the Carcano hits for a max damage of 85 and a minimum damage of 54, making for a 2-shot kill to the chest at all ranges. The Gewehr M95 also hits for a 2-shot kill at all ranges, but with higher damage figures. It has a max damage of 90 and a minimum damage of 79, so it can more frequently drop already weakened enemies in one shot. Whereas the Russian Trench has a max damage of 79 and a minimum damage of 40, meaning it requires 3 shots to kill at longer ranges. But damage figures don't mean a huge amount without actually knowing specific range figures. So, where the Russian Trench is concerned, it hits the 3-shot kill mark from 71 meters out. This then is also the range at which the Russian Trench begins to lose for overall times kill in terms of raw damage times rate of fire. In a perfect world where you hit all of your shots, the Russian Trench stomps all over both the Carcano and the Gewehr M95 out to 71 meters, because its max damage of 79 is combined with a rate of fire of 124 rounds per minute, while the Carcano can only manage 73 rounds per minute and the Gewehr M95 hits just 66 rounds per minute. But the Russian Trench does have obvious drawbacks to balance this out, which we'll get to. For now, we should also note that the Carcano actually has a better optimal times kill than the Gewehr M95 at all ranges when considering just damage times rate of fire. I will quickly add though that the Carcano is a terrible weapon for hardcore game modes, where the Gewehr M95 dumps all over it out to 113 meters by virtue of only needing 1 bullet to kill out to there, whereas the Carcano needs 2 from 35 meters out. Plus, for all modes, the Carcano actually has the shortest time to live for bullets fired, as the bullet will disappear 3 seconds after firing, whereas the other options all have rounds that last for 5 seconds. But this is almost never going to affect you when using the Carcano. If you're going for insane cross-map shots, then you're using it wrong. And to close out damage and range considerations, the Carcano has the superior muzzle velocity, with a stat of 700 meters per second. The Gewehr M95 only manages 620, and the Russian Trench tops out at 580. This is one of the distinct drawbacks of the Russian Trench that I was just alluding to earlier. Moving on, the Carcano is the superior weapon for round availability, utilizing 6 bullets per reload compared with 5 for both the Gewehr and the Russian. And where the reload itself is concerned, there's very little to report, with none of the weapons having particularly long or problematic reloads, although the Russian Trench does have a bit of a pre and post reload delay animation, but this is somewhat balanced out by a pretty quick actual reload time. On to recoil, and there's also very little to report here, with all weapons having the same stats aside from the Gewehr M95 Infantry having a superior recoil decrease purely due to being an infantry variant, so it's easier to fire shots rapidly with little recoil correction. And this is then reversed where spread is concerned, as the Carbine and Trench variants are much better for hip firing. Essentially, the Carbines and the Russian Trench feel more versatile in close quarters than the Gewehr Infantry, and from experience, I can say that the Carcano is very much a viable hipfire scout rifle. I'm not saying solely rely on it, of course, especially not on console, but in moments of need or if you want to go for a flashy play, you can often rely on the Carcano to do the job. A quick point of interest to add on to the spread section though is that the Gewehr M95 Carbine has better spread while moving in ADS, but worse spread decrease, so you can strafe around with it more than with the Carcano, but you'll suffer if you try to spam fire too much. And then all of the other stats are essentially the same for all of the weapons. I'll add here that some of you will know that I generally don't stay in ADS between shots, but I've actually tried to incorporate it more for the Carcano Carbine as it's a key strength of the variant, which you should have seen clips of dotted around here and there in the footage, and it does help in certain situations for sure. I will say though that I don't like that the chambering of a new round pulls the weapon up, obscuring your view briefly, although it isn't too big a deal overall. However, if this is a key point of interest for you when choosing a weapon, then the Gewehr M95 Infantry is infinitely superior, as the rifle barely even moves during the animation for chambering a fresh round. And as a very quick aside, using K-bullets one after another with the Carcano is as snappy and stress-free as you would imagine for a weapon of this kind. So overall, what do I think? Has giving the Carcano M91 Carbine a second chance changed my mind? Well, yes. I don't hate it anymore. In fact, I enjoyed using it. As scout rifles go, it's very good in close quarters. It's refreshing to have a high rate of fire, and it feels very satisfying to do well with it. The importance of headshots and quick reactions are emphasized more so, and it was a nice change for me over using a sweet spot rifle. I can definitely see its strengths now, and for running and gunning as a scout, it's a great option. I'd possibly use it over the Gewehr M95 these days, unless I was keen to stay in ADS a lot of the time. And I'd certainly use it over the Russian Trench, as it just feels more versatile overall. Plus, even though the Russian Trench can fire faster, if you like to peek shot, you'll still need to peek 3 times at some ranges, even if you can fire faster. So essentially you're not really getting a benefit there. But beyond all of this, I'll still stick with a sweet spot rifle most of the time. It's just hard to ignore how often you can pick up those one-shot kills with something like the Ross, for example. And I still see no point in using the Carcano Patrol variant, on console at least, but I guess that's a different topic for a different day. So what do you think? Do you like the Carcano Carbine, or would you rather go for a sweet spot option? Let me know in the comments below. Now let's go over to the Board of Awesome for the epic people who allow you to get content from me full-time by supporting the channel on Patreon. Without Patreon support, I simply couldn't make this many videos, as I would need to go and get another job. So thank you so much to everyone on here. If you want to join them on the Board of Awesome, the link to the Patreon page is in the description and in my pinned comment. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you don't want to miss future videos, turn on notifications with the bell button and select to always be notified with the options tab that should then pop up. And then feel free to like, share and subscribe. I'm GetGoodGuy, and I'll see you next time. Laters.